Welcome back to my channel Pocket Change Coins. If you're into finding hidden gems in your spare change, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American history, the 1971 Lincoln 1-cent penny. It might seem like just another penny from the early 70s, but trust me, this coin has a unique story and could be worth more than you think. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at how much this little penny could be worth. Let's start with a bit of background. The Lincoln penny has been a part of American currency since 1909, making it one of the most enduring designs in U.S. coinage. Designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, it features the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, facing right with his distinct beard and profile. On the reverse, you'll find the famous 1 cent inscription, surrounded by 2 wheat stalks, a design that remained in use until 1958. In 1959, the wheat stalks were replaced with the Lincoln Memorial, and that's the design you'll see on the 1971 penny. Now, let's zoom in on the 1971 Lincoln penny itself. In 1971, the U.S. Mint was operating at full capacity, cranking out billions of pennies. But something special about this year is the quality of the coins and the eventual rarity of those that have been well preserved. While most 1971 pennies are still circulating today, there are key factors that can make a well-preserved example incredibly valuable to collectors. Before we get into the value, let's talk about the 1971 penny's design. On the obverse, you'll see the image of Abraham Lincoln. The inscription around the edge reads, "In God We Trust," with "Liberty" on the left side and the year of minting on the right. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, representing the 16th president's legacy. The memorial's columns and intricate details give this coin a unique charm, reminding us of the historical significance of the man and the monument itself. What sets the 1971 penny apart from others in the series is, first, its historical context. The 1970s were a period of significant change in the U.S. economy. In 1971, President Richard Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard, signaling a shift in how currency was viewed and handled worldwide. This period also saw the increasing use of pennies in everyday transactions, but the quality of these coins varied based on their production. The quality control during minting in the 1970s was not perfect, so while some coins were produced with fine detail, others were not. If you've ever searched through your coin collection, you may know that some pennies are far rarer than others. The 1971 Lincoln penny is no exception. While they were produced in large quantities, certain 1971 pennies have become quite rare in mint condition. The key factor here is the state of preservation. Most 1971 pennies you find in circulation today will have signs of wear and tear from decades of handling. But, if you're lucky enough to find one that's been stored well and remains uncirculated, you could be holding onto a valuable coin. But wait, there's more. Even more valuable than a regular uncirculated penny are the ones with errors. Minting errors are rare occurrences that happen during the production process and result in one-of-a-kind coins. A double die error, for example, happens when the coin is struck more than once by the die, resulting in a slightly doubled image. Finding a 1971 penny with a double die error could greatly increase its value. Other types of errors, like off-center strikes or misaligned designs, could also make the coin far more valuable than its face value. Now, let's get to the most exciting part. How much is your 1971 Lincoln penny worth? If you happen to have one of these coins in uncirculated condition or with a rare minting error, you might be sitting on a real treasure. A 1971 penny in pristine condition or one with an error can fetch a remarkable $48,000, that's right. A single 1971 Lincoln penny could be worth $48,000 if it's in excellent, uncirculated condition, or if it has a minting error. It's amazing how something so small and seemingly insignificant could hold so much value. So, before you throw away any loose change or pass over that old jar of pennies, take a closer look. You never know what kind of hidden gem might be lurking in your collection. In conclusion, the 1971 Lincoln penny is a prime example of how even the most common coins can become valuable collector's items with the right combination of rarity, condition, and sometimes, a little bit of luck. If you have any 1971 pennies lying around, take the time to check them carefully. If you spot any minting errors or find one in uncirculated condition, you might just be holding onto a coin worth $48,000. Today, we're diving into a coin that you might have in your pocket right now, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny. But before you shrug and move on, thinking it's just another run-of-the-mill penny, let me stop you right there. This little coin has a fascinating story and could be worth much more than you expect. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at the potential value hidden in your 1980 pennies. Let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln penny has been a staple of American currency since its introduction in 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin has featured the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, making it one of the most iconic coins in U.S. numismatics. Over the years, the design has gone through a few changes, but one thing remains constant: the profile of Lincoln on the front and the 1 cent inscription on the back. In 1980, the penny was still part of the familiar design featuring the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which had been in use since 1959. This design was a tribute to the great president, and it showed the grandeur of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. The memorial's columns were intricately detailed, symbolizing the strength and legacy of Lincoln's leadership. But there's more to this story than just a historical landmark. The 1980 penny came at a time of change in the United States. It was a period of economic challenge and transition, marked by inflation and high interest rates. The U.S. government had to make decisions about the value and material of coins to keep up with the economy. While the coin itself was made primarily of copper and zinc, the real story lies in its production and the uniqueness of certain 1980 pennies. Now, why should you care about a 1980 penny? While millions were minted, not all of them are created equal. Like with any coin, the value of a 1980 Lincoln penny is highly dependent on its condition. You see, in 1980, the U.S. Mint produced these coins in large quantities for circulation, meaning most of the pennies you find today are well-worn and tarnished. So, if you have a 1980 penny that's been kept in good condition, you could be in for a pleasant surprise, but there's more to it than just good condition. Some 1980 pennies were struck with slight errors, or they may have unique features that make them stand out from the crowd. These minting errors could include double die errors, where the design appears doubled, or off-center strikes, where part of the coin's design is missing. These errors can significantly increase the coin's value to collectors who are constantly on the lookout for such rare finds. A 1980 penny in uncirculated condition, with no signs of wear, is already more valuable than a typical, everyday penny. However, if that penny has a minting error or some unique feature, its value could jump even higher. So, don't just toss your 1980 pennies into a jar or pocket them without giving them a second look. You might have something special on your hands. Now, here's the moment you've been waiting for, the big reveal. Just how much could your 1980 Lincoln penny be worth? Well, if you've been lucky enough to find a mint condition 1980 penny, or better yet, one with a rare error, it could be worth a staggering $44,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1980 Lincoln penny could fetch $44,000 if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition or if it has a valuable minting error. So, the next time you go through your change, make sure to check the year and condition of your pennies. That seemingly ordinary 1980 penny might just be your ticket to a small fortune. In conclusion, the 1980 Lincoln penny is far from ordinary. With its rich history, potential minting errors, and the possibility of being in excellent condition, it's a coin that every collector should keep an eye out for. Who would have thought that such a small and seemingly insignificant coin could hold such hidden value? If you happen to have one of these rare gems, congratulations, you might just be holding onto a coin worth $44,000. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that might not immediately come to mind when you think about rare finds, the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might think it's just another everyday penny, but trust me, this coin could be worth far more than its face value. The Lincoln penny is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. Since 1909, the design has remained mostly unchanged, with the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front. However, the history behind the 1978 Lincoln penny is quite intriguing, and it's a great example of how certain years and conditions can make all the difference in a coin's value. So, let's dive into what makes the 1978 Lincoln penny so special. First, let's talk about the historical context. By 1978, the Lincoln penny had been in circulation for almost 70 years. In the 1970s, the U.S. was dealing with significant inflation and economic challenges, which meant that the government was making adjustments to the currency system. While the design of the penny remained unchanged, the economic landscape was shifting, and the value of coins was being scrutinized more than ever. The 1978 penny itself features the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, facing right with his iconic beard and strong, resolute expression. On the reverse side, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, which had been the design since 1959. The memorial, located in Washington, D.C., is a symbol of the strength and leadership that Lincoln embodied, and it's beautifully depicted on the coin with fine details that highlight the grandeur of the monument. But here's where things get interesting. The 1978 penny, like most pennies from that era, was made of a copper and zinc composition, and it was minted in large quantities. Because of this, you might think that finding a 1978 penny today is no big deal. However, what makes this coin valuable is its condition and some rare minting errors that occurred during its production. If you happen to find a 1978 penny that has been well preserved, it can fetch a much higher price than a coin that's been circulated heavily. A coin that's in mint condition, with no signs of wear, can be incredibly valuable to collectors who are always searching for pristine examples to add to their collections. It's worth noting that most of the 1978 pennies in circulation today are worn down from years of use, so finding one in excellent condition is a real prize, but the real treasure hunters are on the lookout for rare minting errors. The 1978 penny saw some minor errors during its production, like double strikes or misaligned dies, which make certain coins highly sought after. These errors could result in a coin being worth far more than its standard value. For example, a penny with a double die or an off-center strike can be worth thousands of dollars, especially if it's in great condition. These types of errors are like hidden gems in the world of numismatics, and finding one is the holy grail for collectors. So, just how much could a 1978 Lincoln penny be worth? Well, it all depends on the condition of the coin and whether it has any rare minting errors. In pristine, uncirculated condition, a 1978 penny could be worth significantly more than a typical penny. But if your coin has one of those elusive minting errors, the value can skyrocket. Here's the moment you've been waiting for: a well-preserved, error-free 1978 Lincoln penny in excellent condition could be worth an impressive $42,000. Yes, you heard that right, $42,000 for a single 1978 Lincoln penny, if it's in the right condition or has a rare minting error. So, the next time you go through your change, make sure to double-check those 1978 pennies before you toss them into your jar. You might just be holding onto a coin worth a small fortune. To wrap it up, the 1978 Lincoln penny is a reminder that sometimes the value of a coin isn't determined by its age or appearance but by its rarity, condition, and the unique features it might have. Whether it's a well-kept example or one with an interesting minting error, this penny could be worth far more than you think. Today, we're focusing on a very special coin, the United States 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might think, it's just another penny, but trust me, this little coin could be hiding a treasure trove of value, especially if you know what to look for. Stick around to find out how this seemingly common coin can be worth far more than just 1 cent. Let's take a step back and look at the historical significance of the 1976 Lincoln penny. The year 1976 was monumental in American history, as the nation celebrated its bicentennial, marking 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. You probably already know about the celebration, the parades, the events, and of course, the special bicentennial coins. But did you know that the Lincoln penny from this same year is also a part of that history? At the time, the U.S. Mint was rolling out a variety of special commemorative coins for the bicentennial, including the famous quarter with the back design featuring the colonial drummer. However, the Lincoln penny remained true to its classic design. On the front, you've still got the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, looking dignified and steadfast as ever. On the reverse side, you'll see the familiar Lincoln Memorial, which had been the reverse design of the penny since 1959. Now, you might be thinking, it's just another penny, right? Well, not exactly. While the 1976 Lincoln penny looks similar to its predecessors, there's more to it than meets the eye, and that's what makes it a fascinating find for collectors. For one, the 1976 Lincoln penny was minted during a period of high inflation in the U.S. economy. Pennies were still made from copper, and as the cost of copper was rising, there was increasing talk about phasing out the penny altogether. This made pennies from this era not only a symbol of economic history but also a representation of an era when people still believed in the value of even the smallest coins. But what really sets the 1976 Lincoln penny apart in terms of value is its rarity in certain conditions. While millions of these coins were produced that year, the condition of the coin is key. The vast majority of the 1976 pennies that have circulated for years are worn down and show signs of heavy use, dings, scratches, and discoloration. Finding one in uncirculated condition is already a rare and exciting find, and that's where the true value comes into play. There's more to this coin's appeal, though, especially if you happen to have one with a minting error. Minting errors are what make certain coins incredibly valuable. You see, during the minting process, there's always a chance for mistakes, misalignments, double strikes, and other imperfections that make a coin unique. These errors are much rarer than a regular coin, and as a result, they are highly sought after by collectors. If you come across a 1976 Lincoln penny with one of these minting errors, you could have a coin worth thousands of dollars. For example, a 1976 penny with a double die or one that's slightly off-center can be worth much more than its face value. But now, let's get to the big question: how much could a 1976 Lincoln penny be worth? If you've got an uncirculated version of this penny, you could be looking at a nice return on your investment, especially if it's in pristine condition. But if you've got one with a rare minting error, well, that could take its value to a whole new level. So, drumroll please. A well-preserved 1976 Lincoln penny in mint condition could be worth as much as $40,000. Yes, you heard that right, $40,000. It's incredible to think that something so small, so simple, could hold so much value. Whether it's the coin's historical significance, its rarity, or the potential for minting errors, the 1976 Lincoln penny is more than just pocket change. It's a piece of American history that could make you a serious profit. If you've got a stash of old pennies lying around, now's the time to go through them with a fine-tooth comb. You never know, you might just have a 1976 Lincoln penny worth a small fortune sitting in your collection. Today, we're diving into a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket, waiting to turn into a small fortune: the 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, this might seem like a typical penny, but let me tell you, this little coin has a fascinating story and, potentially, a very surprising value. Stick around as we unravel the mystery behind this 1975 penny and why it might be worth far more than you could ever imagine. To start, let's take a step back in time. The year 1975 was an important one for the United States. The country was in the midst of the post-Vietnam War era, and there were major economic shifts taking place. The penny in question was minted during a time when the U.S. was facing rising inflation and the challenges of transitioning out of a war economy. Yet, even in a time of economic uncertainty, the U.S. Mint continued to produce millions of these pennies, not knowing that some of them would end up as valuable collectibles decades later. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1975 Lincoln penny. On the obverse side, we have the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln, who has been featured on the penny since 1909. Lincoln's dignified profile is paired with the famous phrase, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" stamped above his head. The reverse side of the coin features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which has been the symbol for the penny since 1959. The memorial is depicted in all its grandeur, with the steps and columns of the structure, symbolizing Lincoln's lasting impact on American history. But here's where the story gets interesting. While most of the 1975 pennies were made in huge quantities and circulated through daily transactions, some of these pennies were struck with minting errors or imperfections. These errors are what make coins like the 1975 Lincoln penny highly coveted by collectors. Minting errors can include double strikes, misalignments, off-center coins, or even coins with unusual die marks. These types of errors are rare, and as a result, they can drive the price of the coin up significantly. Now, you may be wondering, what makes the 1975 Lincoln penny so special? Well, the answer lies in its rarity and the condition in which it has survived over the years. Over time, most pennies from 1975 have been through decades of circulation, showing signs of wear and tear. The ones that have remained in excellent condition, or, better yet, in mint condition, are the ones that attract the most attention from collectors. A penny that's never seen the wear of everyday use, one that is still shiny and fresh, is a real treasure in the world of numismatics. The 1975 Lincoln penny is often overlooked in favor of other more famous coins, but it has gained a lot of attention in recent years. And it's not just any 1975 penny that holds value. Pennies with specific characteristics, such as those with minting errors, uncirculated ones, or those with rare die marks, are the ones that can bring in a significant amount of money. So, how much can a 1975 Lincoln penny be worth? If you've managed to find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if you've stumbled upon one with a minting error, you could be holding a coin worth a lot more than just 1 cent. A 1975 Lincoln penny in excellent condition could fetch a pretty impressive sum. Hold on to your seats, this is where it gets exciting. If you're fortunate enough to own a high-quality, uncirculated 1975 Lincoln penny, or one that carries a rare minting error, it could be worth as much as $39,000. Yes, you heard that right, $39,000. Imagine the surprise if you happen to find one of these rare specimens among your loose change or coin collection. If you have a collection of pennies from the 1970s, now is the time to start sorting through them. Look for any signs of exceptional condition or possible minting errors. Who knows, you could be sitting on a coin worth thousands of dollars without even knowing it. So, remember, not all pennies are created equal, and the 1975 Lincoln penny is a prime example of how something as simple as a 1-cent coin can end up being worth a small fortune. Whether it's due to the coin's age, its historical significance, or its rarity, the 1975 Lincoln penny holds much more value than you might think. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this exploration into the value of the 1975 Lincoln penny, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting coin discoveries. Keep searching, keep collecting, and you might just uncover a rare coin that could change your life. Happy hunting, and we'll see you in the next video.